You're a little snake baby chilling in your mama, just waiting to be born. Then, squish. Slowly, light comes in through a hole as your mom pushes you out onto the ground. You simply slide out, since your species gives birth to live babies instead of laying eggs. Not knowing what's going on, your mom just slithers off into the jungle, not caring if you live or die, which, by the way, is very common for snakes. Damn, someone's not getting flowers for Mother's Day, you think to yourself, but you keep slipping and sliding along because, well, you're just a baby snake right now. But you're not just any snake. You're a Titanoboa, and life is about to get pretty tough for you. Despite being able to grow to 15 meters long, life isn't all that great because it's hot and hella humid. The weather is mainly due to this time period known as the Paleocene. This was about 60 million years before the person watching this was ever born. As a Titanoboa, you're born in what's now Colombia, deep in a swampy jungle. The trees are tall, the swamp is wet, and it seems like everything is out to hurt you. The animals are massive compared to what we see now. Everything back then was huge due to higher levels of oxygen in the air. And here you are, just born, with the odds of survival pretty slim since you're by yourself. But you're a pretty big newborn, already around 3 to 5 feet long. You're like, hey, I'm practically fully grown. Then you remember your mom, who's about 50 feet long and as heavy as a car, around 2,500 pounds to be exact. And you realize, I'm just getting started. Also, your friends will never let you hear the end of the "yo mama so fat" jokes. But if they do, you'll just eat them, because you literally eat everything, even other Titanoboas. You're about to be the apex predator of the jungle. You slither through the jungle and swamps, leaving a trail in the mud like a massive noodle, looking for something to eat. You try out small stuff at first while you're only a few feet long, like frogs, birds, maybe even a rat or two. But you quickly grow and start thinking that a better meal would be something big. You're swimming around in the water, using your wide body to stay afloat. That's when you see a tortoise the size of a trash can lid just hanging out, munching on some leaves. Like any good predator, you slide into those DMS, slithering up next to him. The tortoise looks at you like, bro, I'm just trying to sunbathe. Get off my lawn. But you're like, sorry, buddy. As you wrap your body around him, the tortoise thinks it's safe in its shell, but then crush! It's smashed flat in its own shell. You loosen your grip around him, put your mouth up to him, open your jaws nice and wide, and slide his body in. Titanoboas can open their mouths up to 6 freaking feet wide and could swallow most grown adults whole. By doing this, you slide the tortoise in and eat his squished remains slowly. Constrictors typically like to take large amounts of meat down their throats very slowly. Hey, get your mind out of the gutter. Anyways, as a Titanoboa, life seems pretty good. You've got no predators, only prey. I mean, who could take down a 15-meter-long noodle? Maybe some girls in the comments of Twitter posts. If you know, you know. You're growing fast, stretching out like a big, scaly limo. Tortoises and rats aren't satisfying anymore. It's time for something much bigger. Soon, you're tackling some prehistoric crocodile. Its jaws might be able to snap logs, but you're like, try me. You coil around it, squeezing like it's an oversized stress ball until crunch! You snap its back in half like a toothpick. Another filling meal. And now you've grown into the biggest, baddest dude in the swamp. You've hit a solid 40 to 50 feet in length. That's the length of a whole-ass tractor trailer. Feeling quite good and successful about yourself, you decide it's time to get on Snake Tinder and start looking for a mate. Time to rise up some snake gals. You smell something in the air. It's the pheromone of a super sexy female Titanoboa. You already know what time it is, so there you are, a big horny snake. You pull up to her crib, which is usually a rotting log or a rock outcrop. That's when you see a couple of Titanoboas just hanging around. One is already laying that pipe, while the others just watch. At around 22 feet long, it's called a mating ball. The female is basically getting a train run on her during mating season, and it's honestly just, may the best sperm win. The sex itself is like two spaghetti noodles wrapped around each other for hours. Not only that, but it's also theorized that males will fight over the opportunity to mate. You watch as two male snakes approach, and that's when the two males start fighting. Chomp, squeeze. In an aggressive battle, one finally wraps around the other, squeezing the life out of him. His limp body drops to the floor. You watch as the winner approaches the female. She signals it's time, and he goes at it. He looks satisfied after mating, but then the female wraps around him, crushing down on his back. He's like, "Damn, girl, you crazy," as she chokes the life out of his body and proceeds to devour him. This behavior is pretty normal for Titanoboas. You watch in horror thinking, maybe it's for the best it wasn't my turn to mate, as you slither away. Luckily, somehow, you manage to escape mating season and survive. But things are about to get worse for you, much worse. Not only do you need to stay nice and hot, but you've been living in a swamp your whole life. A lot of the other animals have been evolving to avoid you as well. The animals are getting smaller and quicker, the world is getting colder, and the oxygen levels aren't as high as they once were. This means things aren't growing as big as they used to. Plus, it turns out a climate shift is coming. The swamps are drying up and temperatures are dropping. Not ideal for a cold-blooded giant like you. Slowly, your food sources get smaller and smaller, and you find fewer places to hunt comfortably. You grow hungrier, slower, and less effective at taking down prey. Evolution isn't on your side. In time, you and your fellow Titanoboas start to die off. Eventually, you find yourself slithering deep into a cave, waiting for your end. It's been fun, you think, as you reflect on your life. You're probably about 30 to 40 years old at that point, but your species was around for millions of years. You're the last of your kind. You take one last breath deep underground and finally die, leaving behind only your bones. Millions of years go by, and no one knows you ever existed. Until one day, 60 million freaking years later in Colombia, in 2009, coal miners find your bones. Bang! The miners slam a rock with a pickaxe and shine their light to see a massive bone sticking out from the rocks. "What is that?" one asks. Paleontologists show up and start to put the pieces together. At first, they don't even know you're a snake. They think you're some Loch Ness monster. However, after many days of carving the rocks out, they finally find your skull and realize you were the biggest snake to ever live. 15 meters long and as wide as a doorway, able to swallow a whole human. You finally get recognized for the badass you were, Titanoboa. If you enjoyed this story about the Titanoboa and want to learn more fascinating facts about prehistoric creatures, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more amazing content. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What creature from the past are you curious about next?